Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's taking me a little, it always takes me a little time to get started. You think I'd get it done by now, but for some reason, I continue to work on this thing. If I had someone here with me to help with the management, I think I'd be a whole lot better. However, there is no one, so it's just me. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. You are watching, listening to Faith Cafe. Please like and share. Please sign on. Let's see. There we go. And see if it worked. Did it work? Yes, it did. All right. Good morning. Good morning. So, welcome to Faith Cafe, where we take a sip of God's grace and mercy as we walk through this thing we call faith. My name is Renita D. Davis. I am your host and your fellow co laborer. And as I am walking through this thing, so are you. So, we are going through this wonderful world that we live in as we walk by faith. And I want to share with you every Monday morning just a little bit of encouragement. I do want to give a disclaimer, well, not a disclaimer, but I have a public service announcement. I have been driving to the Evanston area, it's Lakeshore off of 41, or yeah, 41, and visiting family. And when I go there, I noticed the first time that I was leaving that my display gave me a notification that something had uploaded. Okay. And, when you are in a space of, trying to get out of wherever you're going, especially if you don't live in the area and you just really want to go, I just assumed that it was I don't know, that my software was doing something, right? Didn't know what to do. So I just kind of like clicked it, got out of it. What I have noticed that every time I go back to visit in that area, my uh, car is always unlocked. I have the automatic with the fob, and I can push a button and it'll close. So now it appears that my car has been, at least the software has been overridden. So I'm going to have to go back to the car dealership and see what they can do. My husband says that they should be able to reconfigure it or whatever. Don't know how much it's going to cost, but I am just giving you a caution. We always talk about not clicking on things on your computer. Well, guess what? Your car is a computer. And if you see something that is not, that you didn't agree to or you didn't set up, if you see something saying that something has been up, up, uploaded or whatever on your screen, my suggestion is to turn the car off again and then restart it and see if it will go away. I don't know how to get rid of it right now, but because, well, I did the typical person thing. I just clicked on it and kept moving. So please be aware, when you are driving, and parking your car. When you start your car, if your car is doing something kind of different than what it normally does, don't just click on everything. Make sure that there is a way that you can still drive your car and that it will, move. I knew my car would move. It's just now I have to really be concerned to make sure that I double check that I lock my door. And I do believe I do. I've had my car for over 2 years, so I know how to lock the door and when I leave. So I'm going to have to be a little bit more vigilant. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. That was just something I wanted to share with you. Please, if you are interested or want to have your morning good mornings and statements to be signed in, or shown on the screen, I suggest that you um, sign in and Talk Studio Streamlabs. That way you can be seen on screen because right now I see nothing except I can put my post on there. So in my coaching page, I'm saying good morning, please sign in. If you would like to see your comments there, please go ahead and sign in through this way. All right, so let's get going. Let's get going. I have nothing else to say to you. Well, I do, but I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it silent because I'm already 6 minutes in. All right. So, today, today is March the 20th. I mean, sorry, February the 26th. We're almost out of another month, the second month of the year. What have you been doing for third quarter? That's the first quarter for all of my entrepreneurs. What is your third quarter, second quarter? Sorry. What is your first quarter looking like? And what is your second quarter plans? All right. So keep that in mind as you move throughout this space because quarters are very important. It is also tax time. So please make sure that you have all of your items in order and that you will be able to go ahead and apply and everything will be okay. All right. Um, the goal is not to have a refund. Why? Because you want to be able to be balanced out. That means that you paid too much in the beginning for you to get a refund. We definitely don't want to have to owe, but try to strike a reasonable balance. All right. And if you do have a refund, be mindful of what you are going to do with that refund. All right. How are you going to build your business with that refund? How are you going to take care of some financial concerns that you have with your refund? It does not mean that you have to go and spend it all on shopping or personal items or your personal indulgences. It doesn't mean that you can't use a little bit of it, but please be mindful. We want to be good stewards of the money that we have been blessed with because too much is given, much is required. So if we can be good stewards of the little that we have, how much more are we going to be good stewards of all of the blessings that our Father gives us as we walk through this thing we call faith and life. All right. So I am going to talk to you about Matthew 6:10. Now, as I was, I do oh, by the way, another question. How is your first 45 going? Are you guys taking that first 45 minutes and spending it with God? Are you in prayer? Are you reading your word? Are you planning your day without using the cell phone? Without using the cell phone? Without getting on to see what's happening, without trying to respond to someone that responded to you last night. What are you doing with your first 45? Guys, I'm really serious about that. The first 45 is so important. It really can redesign your day. All right. Put him in it. Put God in your day. All right. So, as I was saying, Matthew 6:10. In my reading, one of the things that I am doing with my first 45, along with what our church is doing for the year, and is part of our continual pursuit of fasting. It started with our fast, so I consider it a continuous pursuit because we should never stop giving ourselves unto God in service, all right, in work and or deed. So one of the things that we're doing is we're reading the Bible throughout the year, and we are using a app. I think it's called um, BibleTools.com. I think that's what it's called. But anyway, so in my reading, it was in Matthew, and this was a while ago, but Matthew 6 and 10. And if you know where Matthew 6 and 10 is, you know that Matthew 6 really is where the Lord's Prayer is. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, so on and so forth. So as I was reading it, verse 10 says, Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. And I thought about that, and I thought about thy will. Okay. Thy will. So his will. What is God's will for our life? First of all, what is his will? How do we know his will? Okay. And why is it so difficult for us to actually allow his will to happen in our lives? And so let me go and start with, let's see, I am looking. It's interesting when oh wow, cool. All right. So it's very interesting. When I looked up the word will, it says biblically. This is a biblical definition, and it says to determine in the mind that something shall be done or foreborn. All right. The word will in the Greek, because the New Testament is transcribed from a Greek um, version, Greek, well, not from Greek version, but from Greek writings, is thelema, Thelema, and the E after the L is a long E, so it's thelema. It is a Greek word and it means choice or inclination. So with that, I kind of processed this thing and I said, okay, so God's choice, God inclined, it says incline thine ear, if you've ever heard that before. It means that you make the choice or you work or you lean toward. There's a good one. You lean toward um, whatever it is. So, will means to determine in the mind that something shall be done or foreborn. So, God foreknew, He determined our life's pattern, whether we know it or not, which we don't know it fully. Okay. So, whether we know it or not, His will has been established within us. So, I asked the question, why is it that it's so uncomfortable to allow His will to be in our lives? And I came up with a couple of things because if you look at any scripture that talks about the will. Like there is one, and it says, "Let um, patience." Um, I think it said, "Let this patience do its be its perfect will." I think that's in John. I think so. I can't remember now, but um, so His will requires patience. We have to have patience. His will requires a level or surrender. No, take out the word level. No, there is no level. His will requires surrender, surrendering to what God has for us. Sometimes we tend to fight, and sometimes we tend to want to do it our way because we think our way is better, or we think that, we're giving Him, full access, but yet and still, we still have that push and, that pushback, you know, it's still not, it's an internal thing that we really go through. And his will requires trust. Now, as human beings, because of our experiences that we have as we walk through life in this natural body, um, my theory is that sometimes, because of the experiences that we have, we sometimes forget that who we are or whose we are. We forget whose we are. We forget that His will is to be done. All we have to do is continue to work. It doesn't mean we have to continue to orchestrate, but we continue to work. To allow His will to take place, we have to be in that place of surrender. We have to have that love, We have to be in that, we have to have that trust factor. Okay. And that trust factor is so childlike in its essence. When you think of a child and its love and the child's level of trust for the adults that are around them, and they have that trust because they have seen some consistency. Okay. they have they are used to, um, people or those who they love or they know to be there. As believers, can we say that we can see a consistent, or we have a consistent record with God, with the things that He does in our lives? Good morning, Angela. Um, can we say that? Can I mean, really think about it? Can we say we have a consistent pattern or a record that we can cite personally about how God has been there for us? All right. So I think what the problem is, that we have a problem with allowing his will to take place, um, and because we decide we want to take the reins again. One of the things that in flipping through Facebook, huh? Okay. Um, I ran into this little reel or a snippet or something, and there was this woman, she was in a car, and it was called Jesus Take the Wheel. And so as she's taking, she's having this conversation, and evidently the car's not going as fast as she wanted to. And the end result is she made the comment, she was like, oh, when I thought that when you said take the wheel, that it was going to be um this partnership thing, that I get to do it a little bit and then you get to do it, so on and so forth. And it was funny because literally that's how we are. We have to learn where our place is. If we're going to be the passenger, we have to make sure that we are the passenger and that we're not jumping up and taking the wheel when we're not supposed to. And I know that sounds very hard to do, but there are certain things that our Heavenly Father allows us to um, to be in control of. He will let us know when we need to move if we hear from Him. And how do we hear from Him? I can go through that. You guys know how it's that silent time. It's that first 45. Guys, I promise you, first 45 is just really, really important. So I encourage you, get your first 45 going. Really, get your first 45 going. If you have not, start. That phone that you have will be there after 45 minutes, I promise you. But anyway, so today I want to encourage you. I want you to encourage you to think on this. Why is it uncomfortable to allow His will in your life? And are you, because it requires patience. So are you patient? Do you have that? Are you in that place of surrender? Surrendering to God is also in a space of being broken. And I mean broken in recognizing that there is nothing that you can do on your own. God's in control. He is truly in control. The things that you think are supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen, they are not if it's part of God's will. There's some patience. Every time I look at, something that I want to do, and I'm on an adventure right now, building a platform. And my goal was by the end of actually, I said by the end of February, I wanted to have this thing in place. Well, I am now at the end of February, but it's not in place. However, I am still working toward it. I don't stop the thing. I continue to work on what the plan is. Okay. How do I know that this is my plan, not my plan and God's plan? Because I listen and I hear him. If you knew the story of my journey, you would understand that yes, this is his plan. So, knowing that it's his plan, sometimes we can take a detour and we think that we're still on his plan, and there's a wrench in it. Because that wrench is there, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that there's a slowing down that may need to take place. So, I encourage you, work, try your best to allow his will in your life. Start today. Stop, take that first 45, find out what it is that God wants you to do. How is it that he wants you to behave? How is it that he wants you to move on this earth today? How is it? What does it look like? And once you know what it looks like, or once you have that peace and you understand that this is not for me to do, this is for me to do, because God, you got this part. I just need to keep plowing through. I just need to keep, making those moves. Make those moves, but don't let your plan and try to force it on God's plan. Because remember, he will give you the desires of your heart, but it's not for you. Let him provide it. Be in the waiting, be in the surrendering, be trusting of him. Take those three things, work on them, be patient. It's not going to come when you want it to. Surrender. Don't get so tied up in you have to have your hand on it. You don't. Be trusting. Look at the pattern and the consistency that God has been in your life and bank on it. Okay? That's how his will comes into your life. That's how his will is done in your life, because you are in that place of surrender. I promise you, the surrender part, it can be a little challenging. Been there, still there. Okay? It's not something that we go through once and then we don't do it again. However, the parts that we've already gone through, stop picking them up again. The parts that you've already gone through, sit back and think about it. Okay? You've surrendered things to God. Why are you picking those same situations up again? Just a question. All right. So it is now 24 after, and I want to say, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Monday morning. You are listening to Faith Cafe, where we take a sip of God's grace and mercy as we walk through this thing we call faith. Enjoy your Monday. Take care, everyone.